everyone, we are the Clark Planetarium. My name is Maddie and I'm going to be your narrator, and this is my friend Cynthia. We are going to be showing you how to build a planisphere and how to use a planisphere. Now, a planisphere is a sliding chart that's used to map the stars depending on your date, place, and location. So we're going to be using 40-degree north planispheres, which just refers to our position on the planet on the 40-degree north latitude line. This planisphere is pretty cool. You have the horizon line on the bottom with north, east, and west, and then if we flip it over, we see the south, again with the east and west horizon. So this is a double-sided planisphere. You can rotate the chart in the middle to be able to see what the stars look like, and if you look at the bottom, it'll tell you what month and date. So if you were late at night on a November afternoon, you could see exactly what the stars would look like. Or you could go to a birthday and see exactly what the stars should look like. Really, any date, it'll show you exactly what the sky looks like based off of your horizon and your latitude line. So, why is this important and cool? Well, stargazing in general is really important and cool. And we actually have a list of really fun stars, constellations, and planets that you can look at and observe in the night sky. And I'd like to spend some time talking about these things. So to start out with stars, we have Sirius, Vega, Arcturus, Betelgeuse, Antares, Altair, Rigel, and Polaris. This is my list of stars that are cool to find and important to learn. Sirius is considered one of the brightest stars in our night sky. You can normally find it in winter in the southern sky in the Canis Major constellation. However, it's not quite my favorite star. I really enjoy Vega and Altair. These two stars are very bright and are normally found in the summer months in the summer triangle. The summer triangle is an asterism, which is a collection of constellations. So it's not an actual constellation, it's just a collection of them. Another really cool star to think about is Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse can be one of the brightest in the night sky, or it can be severely decreased in brightness. And this is due to Betelgeuse's home star system, which does not always allow it to be the brightest in our sky. And this can be a bit unpredictable. So even though most stars will be bright most of the time, some of them do fluctuate, which is something to be wary of. On the subject of stars that are not always that bright, you've probably heard of Polaris. Polaris is the North Star. It's on our celestial North Pole, meaning that as our planet rotates through the sky, it'll always be right at our North Pole, at least for the next several thousand to way longer years. But Polaris actually isn't that bright of a star. It's on our celestial pole, but it's really not a shiner. And this leads me to constellations, because how you find Polaris is actually by finding the Little Dipper. So the Little Dipper is not officially called the Little Dipper, it's called Ursa Minor. And it looks like a dipper, but it's technically a bear. You might think Ursa Minor, well, where's Ursa Major? Right next to it. Ursa Major is also sometimes called the Big Dipper, but it's officially the Big Bear and the Little Bear, and they are both in the sky. And if you follow the handle of the Little Dipper, it will always lead you to Polaris. Another constellation that's pretty easy to find and is best seen in winter months is Orion. Orion is one of my absolute favorites. I find it super easy to find because I always look for the belt of 3 stars. They're close together in the sky, and that's what makes it stick out to me. Other people like to look for Betelgeuse and Rigel. So if you remember, those are 2 of my top stars in the sky. They're both pretty easy to find generally. Betelgeuse is the upper right shoulder, and Rigel is the lower left knee. So that's where 2 of those stars live in the beautiful constellation Orion, which is best seen in winter. Our next constellations to talk about are Hercules and Pegasus. These constellations are really awesome to talk about how stars tell stories. So in mythology, Hercules will chase Pegasus across the sky. So Pegasus appears more in winter and around At the start of winter, Pegasus will appear and start to move across the sky slowly. Hercules shows up and chases Pegasus across the sky, and Hercules is a bit more of a summer constellation. So Pegasus appears at the end of winter, and Hercules chases Pegasus across the sky. It's a really beautiful, dramatic, months-long saga that unfolds every single year. These are the big constellations that I think are easiest to find and look out for. The next thing I want to talk about are planets. Now you'll notice on our planisphere there are no planets, which might seem a bit counterintuitive, but that's because the planets don't always follow the stars. They follow their own paths and don't always move in the same way the stars move in the sky. For example, they could be at opposition or in retrograde. But this planisphere is a tool that makes it easier to find them, because you can go online and search where will Jupiter be in the sky, what months are best for finding Venus, and it will tell you, oh, if you find the moon, if you find this star, you should expect it at this time. And they're really bright, pretty objects to see in the sky. Jupiter and Saturn are easy to see towards the end of summer. Mars and Mercury show up more in the winter months. Generally speaking, Venus can be seen a lot of early mornings. So it's really fun to be able to use these tools like a planisphere to find planets. So now for the fun part, we're going to show you how to build your own planisphere. So these planispheres we actually have in our store here at Clark. We have a big version and a little version and a southern hemisphere version. And if you don't want to come into the planetarium to buy these, we do offer them online. So now we're going to get into how to construct your very own planisphere. So this is what the templates will look like. We got these from Dominic Ford from inthenightsky.org. Very great resource if you have a chance to check it out, but it's super easy to just search planisphere, and we will also do our best to give you a link to some of these. So you're going to have two sheets. You're going to have the holder and the star wheel, and you're going to cut them out. We've already cut out most of them for you here, so make sure you have all your tools. You're going to need scissors, pencil, glue of some sort, and a brad. We suggest also having cardstock or manila folder, or just any paper with a bit more weight, just to make your planisphere a bit sturdier. So you're going to go ahead and cut out the holder so the viewing window is open. And our version of the holder actually has instructions and a little bit about planispheres on it, which is super fun. And if you go to his actual site, you can customize based off of your longitude and latitude. So you're going to go ahead and cut all of this out, and we actually like to back our planispheres with this heavier paper. So you can just do this by tracing your pre-cut templates and then cutting it out and making sure that you're being careful of keeping your months and date lines in your star wheel, and making sure that you can still see all of the time and dates on your planisphere holder, and keeping all your lines nice and clean. It's important that this wheel is nice and smooth on its edges so that it doesn't catch when you rotate it within the holder. So I see Cynthia's very diligently cutting a perfect circle. Look at that. So we are going to use Elmer's glue, which can be a bit tricky if you do go with using liquid glue like this. Just make sure you are very frugal, because a dot goes a lot and we don't want the paper to get all wavy. So just really aim to do nice thin lines that'll dry super quick. We would like to note that when you do the cardstock on the back of your holder, that we like to cut a nice little trough or a hole in the cardstock where it folds easier. We just find that this makes it a bit easier for operation. And we actually have that pre-done for you. So we're going to have a bit of a hybrid planisphere, because we use the manila folder and cardstock at two separate points in time, but this is our fortified pieces for the planisphere. So when it comes down to it, the next step is going to be to fold the holder up, and you'll notice that there is a little spot for the brad. Make note of that. And you're going to actually tape, staple, do whatever you need to do to make sure that planisphere stays upright. Just make sure that you only secure it on the edges so that that wheel can still move on the inside. So we like to use a pencil as well to go ahead and poke holes through the spot for the brad. Now this part's easy because there's a nice hole that's already pre-noted for you. When you go to the star wheel, it's really important that you put that hole through Polaris. That's going to be the North Star. That's going to be the point that doesn't move and the entire sky rotates around. So then you're going to go ahead and slide that star wheel inside the pocket that you've created on your planisphere and then secure it with the brad. So that should go through the star wheel and through the holder, and it should lead to a wonderful planisphere that works all day, any day, or I guess all night, any night, to show you exactly what the night sky is doing. So I hope you all have learned something. I would like to note that our planisphere will show you the entire sky on one side. It's a bit different from the ones we have in stores. It's one-sided, so it has all the horizon lines. North is at the bottom, south is at the top, and you still have east to west, and then you'll see the date along the top. So a bit different than the one that we keep in the store. Still a super cool tool. I hope you guys learned something and had fun with us today talking about stars and the constellation and planispheres.